afternoon, everyone. My name is Blanche Lopez, and along with my co-chair, Schrader, we welcome you all to the Hanover Symphony's presentation of the Echoes of Liberty concert as we celebrate our community's 350th anniversary. Today is more than a concert. It is a celebration of our shared history, our community spirit, and the people who have made this town such a special place to call home for generations. We are especially grateful to all our township leaders, township committees, whose support has helped make this afternoon possible. Thank you to Mayor Gallagher, Deputy Mayor Mihalko, Committeemen Cahill, Ferramosca, and Francioli, and all township employees for their support and leadership as we wove the pieces of the concert together. Today's concert is sponsored by the Hanover Township Cultural Arts Committee in partnership with the Landmark Commission and the Hanover Heritage Association, with the gracious support of the Hanover Township EDAC, Economic Development Advisory Committee. Much thanks to the many meetings to coordinate this great event. Hanover Wind Symphony conductor Matthew Paterno, Hanover Wind Symphony trustee Elaine Schlatter, Hanover Wind Symphony narrator Justin Toomey, our town crier Douglas Gable is in the back, Scouts leadership Michelle Blanchfield, reenactors in the lobby, John Torkos and his son Tommy, Greg Walsh and Agnes Laughlin. Thank you so much. As we reflect on 350 years of history, we also celebrate the values that continue to bring us together. Pride in our township, gratitude for those who came before us, and hope for the generations to come. Jane and I have always had the mindset since the beginning of this journey to honor our past, embrace the present, and inspire the future of our beloved community. I would like to quote Henry Ford, "Coming together is beginning, keeping together is progress, working together is success." This afternoon's program honors our past while bringing us together in the present through music, remembrance, and community pride. As we continue to grow, plan, and steward our communities, we stand on the foundation laid by those early choices, and by learning from them, we ensure that the legacy we leave behind is just as thoughtful and enduring. Thank you for being here and for being part of this historic celebration. Please enjoy the concert and let us continue to celebrate this remarkable anniversary together. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Michelle Blanchfield, and I'm here to kick off the Whippany Historical Scavenger Hunt. This family-friendly adventure is a chance to explore the rich history right here in Whippany, New Jersey, by visiting historically significant sites connected to our community and our Revolutionary War past. Along the way, families will discover landmarks, answer observations, questions, and learn stories about the people and places that helped shape our town and our nation. Scavenger hunt booklets will be out in the lobby after the concert. They can also be picked up in the lobby of the Hanover Township Municipal Building or the Whippany Library. Completed booklets should be returned to the Hanover Township Municipal Building by August 31st to be eligible for a drawing to win a prize. We hope this scavenger hunt encourages families to get outside, explore Whippany together, and discover the incredible history that surrounds us every day. Good luck, have fun, and enjoy your journey through history. Thank you.
Go ahead.
and memorable concert. I would like to take a few minutes to speak to the parents and grandparents here about the students in our township schools who deserve to be very proud of their children and grandchildren. With the support of the Landmark Commission and HHA, I approached Justin Toomey, Superintendent of Hanover Township Schools, about engaging the students grades 3 through 12 in a contest celebrating the 250-350 anniversary of Hanover Township. The themes were hopes for Hanover and wishes for Whippany that would be expressed in a composition, poetry, or artwork. 5 songs were also written. One refrain has stayed with me. No, I will not sing it for you. The submissions were creative, inspirational, and great PR for the town. Because of well over 300 submissions and the tight schedule of state testing, the judging will take place over the summer. Winners and participants will be showcased not only at the public portion of the future township meeting, but also on a Saturday afternoon early in September. An exhibit will be held with gift cards and certificates of appreciation awarded. The student submissions will be on display and a party will follow. Thank you, and please enjoy this very special performance.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, guests and friends, I'd like to take you back in time to when important events and celebrations like this one were held. Please lend your ears to our town crier for the afternoon to share greetings with us. Thank you.
Oh yay! Oh yay! Oh yay! Draw nigh, good people of Hanover Township, from Whippany to Cedar Knolls. Today, under the banner of Echoes of Liberty, our magnificent Hanover Wind Symphony, born in this community, brought community spirit and dedicated to musical excellence, brings music to people and people to music. We gather to celebrate a dual triumph, our nation's 250th semi-quincentennial and the grand 350th anniversary of Hanover Township. Settled in 1676 along the Whippany River, we are the oldest colonial settlement in the Northwest New Jersey. Did you know that there is only one Whippany on the whole world? Behold our rich history preserved in the 1718 Whippany burying yard. Our industrious ancestors built America in 1715. They established Morris County's first iron forge, launching a 200-year industrial era of iron and paper, later boasting the world's largest paper mill company at Melville Mill. Our soil is sacred. General George Washington visited here, and colonial troops and the French Army marched through and camped in Whippany during the Revolution. Bound by an enduring spirit of volunteerism and community, we invite you to enjoy this afternoon's concert, an expression of history. Join us all again for more historic festivities on July 1st, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. for our Independence Parade, featuring food trucks, music, and fireworks. So now let us rejoice in the heritage, heart, and harmony that defines us. May my words bring a smile to your face. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the presentation of our colors and motions. Join us in a salute to our flag and our nation. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing as we honor our country by the singing of our national anthem. You may be seated. I am proud to introduce to you the Hanover Wind Symphony. Founded in 1985 by Peter Moore of the Whippany Park High School and Ralph Ringstad of Whippany, the Hanover Wind Symphony has become a cultural institution here in town and in Morris County. These adult musicians come from far and wide to present music of the highest quality for your enjoyment. This afternoon we will begin with a performance of Concord, a melody based on 3 New England tunes. The White Cockade, a widely known fife and drum marching tune. America by William Billings, that reflects the independent spirit of our young nation. And finally, Yankee Doodle, a folk song most widely associated with the Revolutionary War. It was very popular, tuned for jigs and country dances. And now, here is Claire Brunman's arrangement of Concord.
In the beginning, there was a river. To this stream, in whose depths ran carp and catfish, and whose banks were dotted with berry trees, maple, ash, hickory, chestnut, oak, and willow, came the Indian. When and where he came from, no one can say, but he called the river Whippany, place of the willows, or Arrow Wood. The Lenape were a peaceful, industrious people that made its home in the areas which now include Hanover Township. The river valley, which also took the name Whippany and later Whippany, offered the Indians an ideal home site. The meadows, swamps, and forests were filled with game and food. The river and its tributaries provided water to drink and passage for canoes. Besides hunting and fishing, they were farmers growing beans, corn, melons, pumpkins, squash, sunflowers, and tobacco. To vary their diet, they made long treks to the ocean for seafood. These fishing and hunting trails became the basis for the earliest colonial roads. Many of today's major highways follow these ancient Indian paths. On July 1st, 1676, 5 English colonists signed what was known as the Quintipartite Deed, dividing the province of New Jersey into 2 parts, west and east. The deed was signed by William Penn, Gowan Lowry, Nicholas Lucas, Edward Billings, and Sir George Carteret. This is the generally accepted date of the establishment of Whippany. To celebrate the importance of the many rivers in the colonies, Pierre LaPlante wrote this moving tribute to an earlier time when our rivers and other waterways were the lifelines of our growing nation. Here is American River Songs. tucked into the foundation of the Appalachian Mountain stone pockets of iron ore and lens-shaped bodies of iron oxide called magnetite, which is black. These ore bodies are found in various places along this range of mountains and were one of the chief economic resources of America during the 18th and early 19th centuries. The richest of these deposits was found in Morris County. The mining industry of New Jersey dates to the late 1600s when copper was first mined by Dutch settlers along the Delaware River in Warren County. It was iron ore mining that brought the earliest permanent settlers into the area around 1710. Nearly 92% of the state's mines collected iron. The first iron forge of which there is a definite record was built at Whippany in 1715 by John Ford on the bank of the Whippany River by the corner of what is now Whippany Road and Route 10. It marks the beginning of the industrial era, and it was to make the Ford family one of the wealthiest and most influential in the country. These early ironworks were simple affairs. They used local wood and water power, the latter required to work the huge bellows above the hearth to carry off the fumes and smoke. Among the civic leaders of the village of Hanover was a blacksmith named Aaron Kitchell. He was born in 1744 on a farm in the area known as Hanover Neck, east of the Whippany River. At 17, he became an apprentice to a local blacksmith by the name of Fairchild. A year or so later, the business was failing and Fairchild abandoned the business. So, Aaron went from apprentice to owner, and within a few years, the business was prosperous once again. Aaron Kitchell was an energetic advocate of independence. He helped draft the enlistment pledge for New Jersey's armed militia and was among one of the very first to sign that pledge. He spoke out against mercantile and taxation policies and agitated the Tories. During the winters, the Continental Army was encamped around Morristown. He was assigned to arrange for housing soldiers in homes around the area. He housed no less than 20 soldiers in his own home. After the war, he went on to serve in the New Jersey Assembly and in 1799 was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives. After 8 years in Washington, he returned home and happy to be a blacksmith once again. In honor of Aaron Kitchell, the Hanover Wind Symphony will perform Song of the Blacksmith from Gustav Holst's Second Suite in F.
General George Washington led the Continental Army across the Delaware River from Pennsylvania to Trenton, New Jersey. The Army's forces included horses, guns, wagons, and soldiers stretching for nearly 1 mile. The Battle of Trenton began on the morning of December 26, 1776, when Americans attacked British forces in the city of Trenton. Eventually, Washington's forces overpowered the Hessians. The British commander was mortally wounded, and many of his soldiers broke ranks, fleeing from their fighting. They retreated to an orchard east of Trenton, where they would be forced to surrender. Hessians surrender.
After the Battle of Trenton, the Continental Army marched to Morristown to settle in for the winter. The Army, in threadbare uniforms, and many without shoes, was reduced to a few thousand enlistments, and enlistments were set to expire. The Continental Army would again camp in Morristown in the winter of 1779 to 1780. In spite of the factors working in the site's favor, the harsh winter and shortages of food and clothing would make this winter encampment the harshest winter of the war. The temperature often remained below freezing, and snowdrifts piled up as soldiers struggled to keep warm with their scanty clothes and blankets. The challenges the freezing temperatures presented were only aggravated by the Army's serious lack of food and supplies. Shoes, shirts, and blankets were scarce, making conditions even more bleak as soldiers sought to fend off hunger and cold. Lieutenant Rhoda Theron was one of the soldiers staying in the encampment. He wrote to his wife Rhoda, who lived in the eastern Troy Hills section of Parsippany, then within the Township of Hanover. He asked her to knit stockings for the soldiers. This story has been handed down through the generations and preserved as a poem written by Rhoda's great-great-granddaughter, Eleanor Hunter, sometime between 1876 and 1884. Here is an excerpt. I read from the paper, wrinkled and brown, "We are here for winter in Morristown, and a sorry sight are our men today, in tatters and rags with no signs of pay. As we marched to camp, if a man looked back, by the dropping blood he could trace our track. For scarcely a man had a decent shoe, and there's not a stocking the Army threw. So send us stockings as quick as you can. My company needs them, every man. And every man is a neighbor's lad. Tell this to their mothers, they need them bad. The poem goes on to mention Rhoda spreading the word to her neighbors and the surrounding towns, including Whippany, Rockaway Valley, and Boonton. She delivered the pairs of stockings to Morristown. 133 long ones, remember, up to the knee. In the winter of 1779 to 1780, the Continental Army's perseverance and determination to overcome the challenges they faced prepared them for the campaigns that would eventually secure American independence. General Rochambeau was the commander-in-chief of the French expeditionary force of 5,500 troops that King Louis XVI sent to America in 1780 to support France's new alliance with the colonies. General George Washington camped in Whippany in June of 1780. He suggested to Rochambeau it would be a good place for a halt or rest stop before marching to Virginia. So, on August 27, 1781, Rochambeau's army arrived at Whippany for a 2-day encampment on its way to Rhode Island and on to Yorktown. The principal campsites were on a tract east of Whippany Road between Route 10 and East Fairchild Place. Outposts were located east of Troy Hills Road and along Route 10. One of the officers, the Comte de Clermont, found the area to be one of the pleasant spots in the whole of the countryside. In September of 1782, 11 months after the victory of the Battle of Yorktown, the French army marched back to New England on its way to embark from Boston for their return voyage to France. Once again, they stopped at Whippany for 2 nights. The hymn Chester was born during the very time of the American Revolution, appearing in 1778 in a book of tunes and anthems composed by William Billings. It was so popular that it was sung throughout the colonies from Vermont to South Carolina. It became the song of the Revolution, sung around the campfires of the Continental Army and played by fifers on the march. The music and words perfectly express the burning desire for freedom, which sustained the colonists through the difficult years of the Revolution.
Scouts will pay homage to the soldiers of the Revolutionary and Civil Wars.
Almost 1 in every 3 Americans is either a veteran or a member of a veteran's family. Their country called and they answered. We owe them a debt that can never be repaid. Their sacrifice in the name of peace and freedom have made this nation what it is today. By their sacrifice, they give us our strength, our vibrancy. We, the living, must ensure that their sacrifice was not in vain.
I vow to thee, my country, all earthly things above, entire and whole and perfect, the service of my love. The love that asks no question, the love that stands the test, that lays upon the altar the dearest and the best. The love that never falters, the love that pays the price, the love that makes undaunted the final sacrifice.
These are the Revolutionary War heroes interred in the Whippany Burial Yard. Captain David Bates. Sergeant Stacey Burnett. First Sergeant Matthew Burnett. David Corey. Abraham Sverto. Jacob Gray. Jared Kelly. Private Aaron Kitchell. Deacon Stephen Munson. Joseph Tuttle. Captain Timothy Tuttle. And Timothy Cooper Warder.
These are the Civil War heroes interred in the Whippany Burying Yard. Charles A. Burrow, Leonard Dressel, Michael Ferry, Private Samuel McGee, Private James H. Mills, Theodore Mount, Charles Springsteen, William Silas Wade, and Hugh Wiley.
One of America's most enduring images of her strength and resolve is projected by the men and women of America's armed forces. The Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps were all created in 1775, before our nation was even became into a creation. I wish to honor the Americans, past and present, who have proudly served our country with this next selection. A salute to the armed forces. If anyone here today has served or is presently serving in the military, we invite you to stand and be recognized when the song of your branch is played. United States Army. United States Marines. United States Navy. The United States Air Force. United States Space Force. United States Coast Guard. Ladies and gentlemen, this time, please rise and lend your voices in song as the Hanover Wind Symphony performs God Bless America.
you've been having a wonderful afternoon. Before we close our program, I would like to make sure that you all make sure you peruse the historical displays in the lobby, take pictures with our reenactors, and enjoy the treat sponsored by EDAC in the lobby. As a reminder, make sure to attend the pre-fireworks parade celebration on Wednesday, July 1st with a rain date of July 2nd. You will see again our town crier, the scouts that have honorably represented our community today, reenactors with their regiment, and then some members of the Sons of the American Revolution. Plus we have two special guests. We have General George Washington and General Jean-Baptiste Rochambeau that'll be riding down North Jefferson Road, or coming down North Jefferson Road on horseback. So it'll be a sight to be seen. Please welcome them into town loudly. Make sure to get situated by 6 p.m. on North Jefferson Road, starting from Stony Brook down to Veterans Field, as our patriotic celebration continues at the band shell for a special proclamation for our very special July 1st, 2026 anniversary, which truly will be Whippany's 350th birthday. On behalf of the Hanover Township Committee, Cultural Arts Committee, Landmark Commission, Hanover Heritage Association, and EDAC, thank you for sharing in this beautiful celebration of Whippany's 350, a day filled with music, remembrance, and the spirit of community that connects us across generations. We offer our deepest gratitude to the Hanover Wind Symphony, our reenactors and scouts, our student contest participants, township, go ahead. Our township leaders and the sponsors whose generosity, talent, and devotion brought this unforgettable afternoon to life. As we leave today, may this music we've shared and the memories we've honored remain in our hearts, reminding us of all that has been here, built here with care, courage, love, and hope. May the same spirit continue to guide Whippany, Cedar Knolls, and Hanover Township forward for generations to come. Thank you for being a part of this historic day, and may you travel home with joy and pride. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the retirement of our colors. One last piece has secured its place as our most popular and widely recognized march of all times. It has captured the American spirit of patriotism, perhaps better than any other composition, for more than a century. This is the piece John Philip Sousa played to close his concerts, the National March of the United States of America, Stars and Stripes Forever.
So please don't leave. We have a great splash of food coming, a smorgasbord. So please just give us a few more minutes. We have some punch. We have some Martha Washington punch. So please wait around a few minutes and you'll get some good treats. Thank you. Have a great evening.
Scavenger hunt for sure.
They played a couple of songs.
Trombone section.